Decisions, decisions, decisions. This week we're trying to figure out what on earth to do next. Our business in Portugal is done and it's time to really hit the road now. So where to go? Well, with a couple of small Spanish villages to inspire us, we set off across Europe in search of some good old-fashioned Newby van life adventures. We also bagged Crusoe his country number 7, and we'll give you a brief update on what we were doing in Portugal in the first place. Stick around to the end to see where we have ended up. We're the Newbys, a family of travellers with big dreams. I'm Tara, this is John, and this year we were joined by our little boy Crusoe. 2020 sent the world for a loop, and it sent us on a journey. Not wanting to waste a single minute or second of it, we embraced van life and travelled to over 20 countries in Europe in our self-converted campervan. With the arrival of Crusoe into the world, our priorities remain the same: to make every moment matter, to take this little family around the world and to teach our children about huge horizons, a life full of opportunity and adventure around every corner. And so the journey began, leaving Portugal and heading east. Ultimate destination still undecided, but first stop, 2 incredible little ancient villages in Spain, La Alberca and Mogarat. Where are we, my love?
I haven't got a clue the name of this place. Ever. I don't know these things.
We are in a little village called La Alberca in Spain.
Just over the Portuguese border. I know that because we drove yesterday. This village is particularly special because it was the first village in Spain, or the first place in Spain to be granted.
It's like cultural heritage status.
Because the buildings around here are all super awesome. No cars are allowed to drive into the village, so it's all pedestrianised, cobbled streets.
Really do feel like you've stepped back in time.
It's like a movie set.
So we're visiting 2 villages in this area. The next one we'll tell you about when we get there. But for now, let's go have a look around La Alberca.
La Alberca. Brilliant. We did well yesterday. We crossed the border without any contraband.
It is good news, isn't it?
It is good news. No chickens allowed.
No chickens allowed.
This place is cool.
Isn't it? It's so quiet.
Oh, also, important to note, they have very special tasting pigs here.
So it's actually the ham that this village is really well known for. And the way that they smoke it is very old tradition for the area. So apparently in most of these buildings, there are actually holes in the floors, and they would smoke the meat in the top floor and the smoke would come up from the bottom and go through the buildings. And you get that kind of prosciutto type ham. That is so delicious. And the pigs live in the hills around the village and they eat black acorns. So as you walk around, you do see lots and lots of little butchers, charcuteries.
We are plant-based, not vegetarian.
I just love that there's no cars. We were walking around yesterday and going, it's like a ghost town, but it's not a ghost town. It's just that it's really, really peaceful because we're not used to going places without vehicles. It is really like stepping back in time. There really was something very special about wandering through streets that were created centuries ago that looked just as they would have done back then. Quite remarkable and very unique indeed in today's modern world. You want some chorizo, don't you?
I think we should try it, though, because of the specialities. On our Patreon account, we wrote a short blog about being plant-based, but sometimes diverting off that path of righteousness for chorizo. Well, we've come to the right place. This is chorizo heaven. It's about €10 for this big chunk. So we're going to buy it and feel extraordinarily guilty when we eat it. If you are a chorizo or ham lover, you'd be absolutely delighted. I'm pretty pleased with that. It says Alma de Artesanos, which I suppose means it's quite special.
And so, with our guilty pleasure purchased, we spent the next hour or so ambling around the pretty cobbled streets. There are only about 1,100 permanent residents in La Alberca, and it is remarkably quiet in the village. But you can't help but feel the presence of centuries of life here. Imagine if these walls and windows could talk.
I think that house was built around about 1818.
What's giving that away?
You can tell from the balcony and the stonework.
And the date above the door.
Do you think we could just put that into a baguette?
Darling, You got a big sausage in your pants.
No, you'll have to be careful, otherwise we'll have to click the button that says not suitable for children.
So the next village of note is called Mogarats. I think that's how you say it. It's about 15 minutes from here. But first, John wants to try his sausage.
Meanwhile, Crusoe sleeps. It's nice.
Is it worth the teeth?
Mm-hmm. Yum, yum. So Tara's put a tomato on the top of that, just so that we can feel a little bit better about eating meat. It's nice to take a break every now and then and try something, especially something that's local to this place. And when we purchased it, we did ask, is this made around here? He was like, yes, of course. You know, we have got some decisions to make about the rest of our journey. So we've left Portugal, and all of the business that we beetled our way across the continent to do in Portugal has been done. We've signed the documents. We've got a piece of land over there. If you're one of our Patreons, thank you so much for being a Patreon. You've already seen the videos about that piece of property and about what to expect next March. The original idea was to go and head over towards Eastern Europe.
It was, but we were delayed in Portugal by a whole week. So we're a week short of the time that we did have to get over to Eastern Europe. So we've been dithering about, do we still go across there, or do we just spend this time in France and Spain and kind of slow things down a bit? In the past, we've always travelled very quickly. We are a family that travels very quickly. But the thing is, the world is going to start opening up again after COVID. We have a funny feeling that come next year, when the world is open, we're going to want to go further afield. So if we want to do Eastern Europe in the van, now's the time to do it.
And looking really far into the future, do we want to go and travel around Eastern Europe, or would we rather go to India?
I think India might win. So we are going to start the drive from where we are in Spain, all the way across, heading in the direction of northern Croatia.
It's a lot of driving, 22 hours straight, and hopefully this time next week we will be in Croatia.
Yeah. Best we go and see a village with some faces painted on the walls and then get on our way. Let's go, shall we? It is really beautiful in this area. I think we're in a place called the Serra da Francia National Park. And that's where these two little villages sit within that area, but the kind of wilderness around it is absolutely beautiful. Yesterday when we were driving in, it was pouring with rain, but we saw a beautiful big bushy fox, didn't we, crossing the road?
We did, yeah.
It was lovely. Mogarats, I think that's how you say it, and it's really famous because a resident artist decided to paint some of the residents of the village from the 1960s all around the town on the building. So the portraits were taken by a photographer to help the local residents get ID cards in 1967, when there was a big economic downturn in this area and a lot of people were leaving to go and try and find work, and so they needed identification in order to do so. More recently than that, an artist, and I will get his name up, painted these portraits alongside portraits of current residents of the town, and they now hang all around the town. There he is, that's the artist. Florencio Milo. He painted 388 residents, some of them from the 1967 identification portraits that were taken by one of the residents here.
Cool.
Isn't it? I can see a lot more down there. Let's go have a look.
Wow. That is cool. That's really cool.
This is totally unexpected. I thought that Alberca, where we've just been, was going to be the highlight, but actually, this is really magic, isn't it? isn't it? As we explored the village, we couldn't help but ponder at the placement of the portraits on each building. Did they belong to the folk who'd once lived in each house, or was their location completely random? We had no idea that serendipity would provide us the answer with a chance encounter a little later in our journey. But first, there were more faces to meet and people to see.
Check that, there's loads. The whole of the side of the church. Brilliant. And look at those. Wow. I mean, that looks like it's ready to collapse, to be honest.
It really does make you want to know their stories, especially if they're tied to the buildings, because the town itself is so beautiful. It was time to head back to the van and get onto the road. As we made our way back through the cobbled streets, we happened across this wonderful old gent, and John, with the help of Google Translate, got us the answer we'd been looking for.
Mi padre.
Padre?
La de los parientes, mi madre.
Padre. And that's you.
Yeah,
You look good.
¿Sí ves?
Wow, that's
Ahí
amazing.
tenía yo poco más. Ay, Dios.
Muchas gracias, señor. Thank you. It's good.
Venga, que le vaya bien. ¿De qué sitio
Bye,
es?
Crusoe.
Well, that was certainly a very special and memorable end to our time here. But it was high time we hit the road. We had a long way to go. Exactly the situation you want when you've got a 22-hour drive ahead. Road closed.
Yeah, I don't know how to get away from here either.
No, the alternative option was 9.5 hours longer. Crisis averted.
Maybe.
Maybe. Thank goodness for Google.
Talking
Rerouted
about
us.
that was my route. Google had nothing to do with that one.
You took your route and then Google says, yep, all right, this will do.
This will do, yeah. So Google's agreeing with me.
We're on our way. Now we really were on our way, across Spain and into France. Sometimes it was beautiful, sometimes it was dull, and sometimes it was just hard going and the days felt long and endless. We won't bore you with the mile-by-mile rundown, but we believe in making minutes and seconds count, and if you look hard enough, there's always beauty around the corner. And there was definitely always fun to be had. Crusoe is tripping out in the tunnels, man. Is it fun, my boy? And what will we always remember this journey for? Well, some pretty special and very memorable father-son moments between John and Crusoe.
These, thankfully, are far enough away from the van that we don't have to worry about them heading back into France from Spain.
Oh, and we bagged Crusoe, his country number 7, with a quick stop into Monaco.
We have finally made it to Monaco. It's a small stop on our route to Croatia.
You want to see the yacht?
Wowzers. So the plan is we're only allowed to park here for 2-3 hours maximum because the car parking attendant said that we need to get out.
It's the International Yacht Show in Monaco today, so he did us a favour by letting us park where usually the motorbikes park.
So the plan is to walk from here around the corner to the Casino Royale, Monaco Casino, and then back again and see what we see along the way.
Yeah, and then tick that box. Been there, done that.
Yeah, good.
Of the 36,000 residents within the Principality of Monaco, only 9,500 are nationals, and at only 2.1 square kilometres, it's the second smallest sovereign state in the world after the Vatican, and the most highly populated in the world. Widely recognised as one of the most expensive and wealthiest countries, over 30% of the population are millionaires, and in 2018, real estate prices reached €100,000 per square metre, which made our van while parked there worth about €800,000. If only we'd got the rug out, we'd have been millionaires. Feeling really rather out of place, we got back on our way, down quite literally glittering streets and back onto the road through Italy. We've made it to Croatia! Oh, I'm so happy.
That's been a pretty long drive.
That was epic. It's 5 full days of driving from Portugal. Crusoe, how do you feel? Poor little man. He's done very well.
Morocco along the way.
Morocco?
Monaco.
Monaco. So we're in Croatia. So excited. We're going to park up tonight just outside of Rovan in a campsite. We've heard via the Via that wild camping in Croatia is really tricky, so we'll just suss it out for a few nights in a campsite, see how we go.
Yep.
I am just so stoked to be here, man. How cool. Well, after all that, Croatia didn't last very long because we've had a different idea. This might be mean, but you're going to have to tune in next Sunday to see where we've got to. Things are getting interesting. Remember to give us a thumbs up if you've enjoyed the video, subscribe if you haven't already, turn on notifications and leave us a comment. Thank you for travelling with us, and we'll see you next week.